The Essence of Meditation. Chapter 4, Emotion Zones. As mentioned in Chapter 1, Awake Sleep, more and more research is demonstrating that anxiety is not in your mind, but your body. In other words, when some event occurs, your body reacts first, and the emotions that emerge after that are caused by the physical changes in your body. Why the body reacts first must have something to do with human evolution. Imagine that you are a primitive human being walking in a jungle, when suddenly a beast jumps out from nowhere. Before figuring out what kind of beast it is, whether it is a threat to you, whether you should fight it, or turn around and run away, your entire body starts reacting in a split second. Your pulse quickens, your breathing becomes shallow, your eyes dilate, and your body starts to produce adrenaline. Everything happening in your body is good because you're prepared to survive that encounter with the beast. However, there is the possibility that the intruder is not a beast, but a friendly buddy from another tribe. Even if you eventually learn the truth, your body is ready for fight or flight, and your heart rate is still increasing. At least, it will not return to normal anytime soon. That is because you are completely in control of the surging adrenaline, although the frightening experience is just a false alarm. In the present day, most people no longer need to worry about encountering an unexpected beast. However, that beast still lurks in everyone's body and jumps out to frighten you at every turn. For example, when you encounter a traffic jam on the way to work, the beast jumps out and makes you anxious immediately. When you encounter people and things that are not going well at work, the beast jumps out and makes you instantly irritated. When you are back home and see your child playing online games instead of doing homework, in no time the beast jumps out and makes you feel nameless anger. In fact, if you replace the hypothetical beast in the jungle with words that only today's civilized people can understand, such as social media, traffic, politics, COVID-19, childcare, or climate change, you can quickly see why anxiety is the most common mental illness in the world, affecting nearly 20% of the population in some countries. In other words, modern-day humans are basically a bunch of freaked-out primitives in perpetual fight-or-flight mode. If we recognize that emotions are determined by the state of your body, which is nothing more than a collection of physical and chemical variables, that means that we might be able to quantify emotions scientifically, rather than relying on imprecise human words, such as anger, anxiety, confusion, pain, excitement, and happiness. Of course, that quantification process will not be easy, because the human body is a super complex system with an enormous number of physical and chemical variables, not to mention that new variables are constantly emerging as science progresses. To simplify, let's assume that there is only one variable in your body, the heart rate. In that case, all emotions will be correlated with the heart rate, and only with the heart rate. Also, let's assume that the heart rate is 60 to 80 beats per minute, BPM, in normal circumstances, rises to 120 BPM during an emergency, and falls to 50 BPM during sleep. Thus, based on the measurement of the heart rate, we can divide the physical state of the human body into three zones: the normal or comfort zone, from 60 to 80 BPM, the emergency or danger zone, from 80 to 120 BPM, and the sleep or rest zone, from 50 to 60 BPM. Since emotions are determined by the state of your body, they must also have three corresponding emotion zones. But, under normal circumstances, after you fall asleep, you lose consciousness and don't have emotions anymore. You may think that you have emotions in your dreams. But if you look at them carefully, you will find out that despite sweet dreams or nightmares, the emotions of happiness or fear occur only after you wake up from the dreams. In other words, the sleep zone of emotions does not exist. However, if there is a way to let the body sleep while the mind remains conscious, that will create an all-new emotion that most people have never experienced. And yes, as you have probably guessed, that method is meditation, because the essence of meditation is to let the body fall asleep, while keeping the mind awake. As for what that new emotion feels like, I am afraid there is no one word to describe it, since it has been referred to by various people as calmness, serenity, freedom, compassion, fraternity, and even emptiness. Notice that using heart rate as the only variable for the state of the human body is an extreme simplification. If another variable, for example, blood pressure, is added, the one-dimensional emotion zone will become a two-dimensional emotion area. If one more variable, for example, respiratory rate, is added, the two-dimensional emotion area will become a three-dimensional emotion space. If n variables are used to present the state of the human body, some n-dimensional emotion spaces will be created. As you can see, with more and more dimensions added, the emotion spaces become more and more complicated. Without a map or GPS system, there is no way for us to plan a route in advance or follow some existing routes to explore those unknown emotion spaces. That explains why everyone's meditation experience may be different. As a matter of fact, even for the same person, each time he or she may get a different experience in meditation for the same reason. But dividing emotions into three zones is also a great simplification. For example, between the comfort zone and the danger zone, there is also an optimal performance or flow zone. That's because moderate anxiety usually improves a person's performance. As anxiety increases, performance increases, until it reaches an optimal level. Beyond that point, as anxiety increases, performance decreases, so that eventually you will come out of the performance zone and go into the danger zone. When people are in the performance or flow zone, they are able to accomplish tasks easily, for their bodies automatically move by themselves. Since those people are focusing on the present, hours seem to pass by the minute. In addition, because people concentrate deeply when they are in the performance or flow zone, they are less sensitive to internal feelings such as hunger and external stimuli such as mobile phone vibrations. Also, after people accomplish tasks, they usually feel happy, satisfied, and filled with positive energy. The idea of flow may sound unreal to you, but you may have already experienced it without knowing it. For example, a stressful school exam may engross you, and the deeper your concentration is and the longer you focus, the more likely you will do well on the exam. That is the result of flow. While everyone may benefit from flow, many artists and athletes in particular have tremendous interest in pursuing it, because they have discovered that their work or competition will never be perfect if they think too much. But if they can enter flow, their hands and feet, and even their whole body, will move by themselves. In that way, they will be able to produce highly satisfactory work or get surprising results in competitions. So, how to get out of the comfort zone and enter the flow zone without falling into the danger zone marks the difference between mediocrity and genius. Many talented artists and athletes have discovered that secret. Bruce Lee, one of the greatest martial artists of all time, revealed the secret in this way: the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Indeed, entering the flow zone through concentration seems to be the secret weapon of many successful people in various fields. However, for ordinary people, laser-like concentration is not innate, but can only be obtained through long-term training. In fact, switching between any emotions is not at all easy. As mentioned in Chapter 3, Brain Games, the human nervous system can be divided into two categories: somatic or animal nerves, which can be controlled by your mind, and autonomic or vegetative nerves, which cannot be controlled by your mind. The autonomic nerves can be further divided into sympathetic nerves and parasympathetic nerves. The sympathetic nerves are responsible for fight or flight. When these nerves are stimulated, that is manifested by, among other things, a rapid heartbeat, increased breathing, dilated blood vessels, sweating, and dilated pupils. When that happens, you enter the danger zone. The parasympathetic nerves are responsible for recuperation and digestion. When the parasympathetic nerves are stimulated, that shrinks the pupils, slows down the heartbeat, decreases myocardial contractility, contracts smooth muscles, strengthens gastrointestinal peristalsis, relaxes the skeletal muscles, and increases saliva and tear secretion. When that happens, you enter the rest zone. As you can see, just like the acceleration pedal and the brake pedal, which are used to control the movement of a car, the sympathetic nerves and the parasympathetic nerves work in opposite ways to control the state changes of your body. Since both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerves belong to the vegetative nervous system, over which your mind has no control, that means that you can't change the state of your body with your mind. It also means that you can't change your emotions with your mind. For example, we often see children cry without tears in front of their parents to get a new toy. That is because their facial expressions and vocal cord vibrations are controlled by their animal nerves, which in turn are controlled by their minds. In contrast, tears are controlled by vegetative nerves, which are not controlled by their minds. As a result, tears are not always available on command. However, many actors can tear up anytime and anywhere the story calls for it, which is amazing. How do they do that? The answer is simple. Since they cannot change emotions directly through their minds, they must use an indirect or roundabout strategy. When actors need to cry, they stimulate their parasympathetic nerves by recalling a sad story in their minds, or silently singing a desolate song in their hearts, to arouse the secretion of tears. Of course, few of them can burst into tears without practicing countless times. For the same reason, artists and athletes enter the flow zone via concentration, which again comes down to the fact that they cannot change their emotions directly through their minds. Similarly, when you meditate, you can't force your body to fall asleep by commanding your mind. On the contrary, you must give up any participation of the mind and fall asleep indirectly by keeping your body still and tricking your brain, specifically, the unconscious brain, to believe that you have fallen asleep. Then the unconscious brain will shut down the animal nerves and inhibit the sympathetic nerves, while stimulating the parasympathetic nerves, thus letting you enter the sleep or rest zone, where the body and mind are completely relaxed. As for the popular emotion management articles and books available nowadays, if you study them carefully, you will discover that most of them are discussing how to use rational thinking to control your behavior when you are emotionally involved. That is, behavior management rather than emotion management. If there is really a way to manage your emotions, it must be by doing nothing, sitting motionlessly, tricking your body into sleep, and creating an all-new emotion in a state of complete relaxation, which you feel to the fullest.